First, I'd like to congratulate all of tonight's Hall of Fame inductees. 1975 soccer team. My wife said, who's sitting back there, that I should say that she had many of those soccer players in her class, which is home ec. Family and consumer science today. I didn't think she'd want me to say that because that would mean she was telling people how old she really is. After a lot of everyone saying how young she looks tonight, but yes, she did have many of those soccer players, I guess, in her class. But congratulations to that soccer team. Track star Jerry Fry. I'm friends with Jim Albright, and whether we're on the golf course or at a Hall of Fame meeting, he was always singing the praises of Jerry Fry, and you know, it's really nice to see him get inducted tonight and tell that story. And boy, what an awesome athlete he must have been. I mean, I was a baseball coach. I never got to see a track meet or even a softball game because our games were always the same night. But he must have been phenomenal. And of course, Jen Roberts, Marshall. When you're striking out about 2 batters an inning, that really takes a lot of pressure off your defense, and I can see why everybody was Hempfield was so good in those days with Jen on the mound. I did have the good fortune of coaching both of Jen's brothers, Matt and Steve, in football and baseball, and believe me, they were both outstanding athletes, and led to a lot of success that we had in baseball and football here at Hempfield. I'd also like to congratulate her parents, who were in the day and age of parents seemingly causing problems with their supposedly support. I think the Roberts family did it the right way, and they were so supportive of all their children, and I certainly appreciated the support that we got, or that I got as a baseball and football coach when I had Matt and Steve. One story I must say about Barry and Faith, and this was even after their kids were out of, were no longer playing football. We had just got new uniforms at Hempfield, and in those days we had over 80 players in our team, and the names were on back of their jerseys. But of course, the new jerseys didn't come through that way, so we had to have someone sew every nameplate on the back of both home and away jerseys. Faith Roberts took care of that for us. So, and her kids weren't even playing any longer. So that's a true supportive parent, I guess I could say. So congratulations to those 3 inductees. Tonight I have the honor of presenting Joe Zangari for induction into Hempfield's Hall of Fame. One of my first memories of Joe being really something special and different from the rest of the players that we had was because he brought this huge equipment bag to practice every day. In my day, in the 60s, you know, we'd get on our bike, put our glove through the handlebars and our shoes on the other side of the handlebars, and ride our bike out to the practice field. You know, we played baseball all day. But when you fast forward to the 90s, Joe basically had an equipment locker attached to his back. And it included everything but the kitchen sink, as you might imagine. But the thing that was really different in those days, Joe was the first player that I ever had that had his own personal batting helmet as well. Now, usually the school provided that, and the school still does today, I'm sure. But Joe had his own batting helmet, no one else did. But to say that Joe loved baseball and everything that came with it was certainly an understatement. When we first brought Joe up to the varsity, at the beginning of his sophomore season, he went 7 for his first 10 at the plate, and everything was a line drive. To use today's terminology, Joe squared the ball up every time he hit it. The ball just seemed to jump off his bat like no one else's. Of course, we were using aluminum bats. He was an all-star pitcher and first baseman. Joe had the respect of his teammates and opponents as well. If you've ever been to any length 11-week baseball playoffs, all the playoff games, with now the exception of the finals, were played at Effort of the War Memorial Field, which is a combination football and baseball field. And the only reason we played there is because they had a fence around it. They had a fence around the entire stadium and they could charge admission. It wasn't like the field was that good, but they could charge admission to get in. In left field were the outfield bleachers, and if you hit the ball in there, it was a home run, of course. In right field, and Joe was a lefty, so most of his long balls were hit to right field and right center. The fence was quite a bit longer and went around the entire field, including around football goalposts. And on this particular day, Joe hit a tremendous home run that split the uprights of the football goalposts and went over the fence well over 400 feet away. And this is something I'd never seen before and will probably never see again. As we were leaving the dugout after the game, the team that was waiting to play next acknowledged Joe by getting down on their knees and bowing to him as he walked by. I never saw that before, and I'm sure it hasn't happened since. They were that much in awe of what they just saw. If you are a Phillies fan, you may remember Harry Callis's now famous call when he said, "Chase Utley, you are the man," after Chase scored from second base on a ground ball to first against the Atlanta Braves. Now, ground ball to first, Chase scored all the way from second. Harry Callis said, "Chase Utley, you are the man." Joe never scored from second on a ground ball to first, but he was the man in these 3 varsity years of baseball at Hempfield. A 1997 graduate and 3-year varsity letter winner, he led Hempfield to 3 Section 1 titles and 2 Lancaster Lebanon League titles. He was the start of a group of players that led Hempfield to 4 consecutive league baseball championships. It still stands today as a Lancaster Lebanon League record. He ranks in the top 5 on the all-time list for average. He hit .557 his senior year. Home runs, triples, doubles, hits, and walks. His 0.37 ERA still is the all-time Hempfield mark. After graduation, he played baseball at Coastal Carolina University until a brain aneurysm tragically took his life in 1999. To this day, a Hempfield graduation award in his name is given to the outstanding senior baseball player each year. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Joe's mother, Mrs. Pat Hart, and his father, Mr. Nick Zangari. So if you two, please.
First, let me start by thanking the committee that nominated our son to receive this award. We are truly grateful and appreciative and just honored to be here to accept it. Joe was an amazingly dynamic young man, and baseball was his #1 passion. He was so fortunate to have been born with physical talents that enabled him to hit and pitch a baseball so well that he was considered a star. There's no doubt Joe was proud of his achievements, as we were, but he wouldn't allow himself to get caught up in all the attention. Always, Joe's focus was on his team. I remember him reminding me every time I'd start bragging about his home run or his strikeouts. He'd look at me and he'd say, "Mom, there's no I in team. We win as a team and we lose as a team." Joe didn't just say those words,